Hello everyone, welcome to your 11th HTML and CSS crash course. And in today's tutorial we're going to be talking about CSS animations. Okay, CSS animation. Okay, so we're just going to create a div and assign a class to it. We're going to call this class div1. So save this as div1 and head over to your CSS, and we're going to call the div1, and we're going to give this a background color. Background color of let's say brown. Okay, or let's go for a lighter color, let's say green. Okay, so now we're going to give this a border, and we're going to say, let's say 5 pixels solid black. Let's make it 3 pixels then. Okay, 3 pixels. Now we're going to give this a width of 200 pixels and also a height of 200 pixels. Next thing we're going to do is to add margin to this, and we're going to give this a margin of 10 pixels. So save this and go to your index.html and open with live server. Okay, so this is the div1. So let's go back to our CSS and change this to 1 pixel. Okay, now we're going to animate this div1. So how do we use CSS animation? We simply type in at keyframes. So keyframes is what we use to track the animation. So we're going to give this an animation name. We're going to give the animation a name. So I'm just going to give this a name of anim1. Okay, now the animation function has two properties, from, okay, and to. So what you're saying is from the beginning to the end. So from the beginning you want something to happen, and at the end you also want something to happen. Okay, so let's just start with something simple. So from the beginning we want the background color to be what's this color selected. So let's copy this and paste it here. Now at the end we want it to be what? Let's select a new color, let's say red. Okay, red. So go back. Okay, it's not working. Why? Because we didn't call the animation here. Okay, so say animation, and we're going to call the animation name, which is anim1, and we'll go over here and say animation duration. So saying how many seconds do you want this animation to occur for. Okay, duration for 2 seconds. We want this animation to run for 2 seconds. So go back here, you can see the background color changes from red to green. So if you refresh, you see the animation occurring. Okay, so now let's make things more complex. Okay, so let's just use the shorthand. Okay, the shorthand method of animation of writing your code. So instead of writing animation duration over here, you can simply go to your animation and say 2 seconds. So when you go back here, you can see the animation still. Of course, make sure you save this. Okay, So you can see the animation still works. So we're going to make things more complex now. So let's create a new div. Go back to HTML, create a new div and assign the class of div2 to this. Make sure you scroll down. And we're going to call the div2 and we're pasting the properties of div1. So copy this and scroll down, paste it over here. Okay, so we're going to create a new keyframe. So say add keyframes, and we're going to call this anim2. So we're just going to make this more complex. Okay, we're going to make this more complex. So in the previous one we had 2 stages, and in this one we're going to have multiple stages. We're going to have 4 stages. Okay, the previous keyframe we used from and to. Okay, so now we're going to have multiple stages. Okay, so from 0%, we want the background color to be this color. Or let's change the color. Let's change the color to yellow. Okay, so copy this and paste it over here. So at 0% we want it to be this color. Now at 25% we want the background color to change. So we want it to change to blue. Then at 50% we want this to change from blue to brown. Then lastly 100% we want this color. Okay, so go back to your browser. So you should see it appearing over here. It's loading. Okay, so let's increase the animation duration. Okay, so change this to anim2 and increase the duration to 7 seconds. Okay, so you can see the process of the animation. Okay, so you can see it's changing the background color gradually. So when I refresh, it goes from yellow to blue. So let's refresh. Blue, okay, brown, back to yellow. Okay, and the first one still works properly. So let's create a new div. So go back to your index of HTML, create a new div and assign a class of div3 to this. Save. So go back to your CSS and we're going to call this div3, and we're going to paste the properties of div2 into this. So copy and paste over here. We're just going to change this background to, let's use a lighter color, let's say purple. It's kind of like pink. Okay, so let's settle that color, and we're going to make the new animation anim3. So again, as we say, add keyframes, anim3. Okay, so at 0% we want the background color to be this. So copy this and paste it over here. Also, we want the width to be 200 pixels, which is the initial width. Okay, so next stage is 20%. So at 20%, we want the background color to be aqua. Also, we want the width to be 300 pixels. Next stage, which is 40%. Okay, 40%. We want the background color to change to let's say brown. And we want the width to be, let's call this 400 pixels. Then at 70%, we want the background color to be aqua, and the width should be 300 pixels, and at 100% it should go back to the initial property, which is the initial background color and width. So 100% background color, paste it, and the width should be 200 pixels. So go back to yes. So okay, so you can see the animation occurring. Let's increase the duration. Let me make the duration 5 seconds. So 5 seconds. Okay, so go back to your browser, refresh, so you can see the animation occurring. So you can see it's not looking really nice, like unlike the transition where we could make our effect look very smooth. Okay, but we can also do that here. So let's make our work look more presentable. So I'm just going to comment this out. How did I do it? Control plus backslash. Okay, so I'm just going to write keyframes, and I'm going to move all the keyframe animation into that section. So Ctrl X and paste it over here. Ctrl X and like I said earlier, paste it over here. Go back up and grab this keyframe also. Ctrl X and paste this over here. Okay, so now how do we make the animation look smoother? So go back to your div 3. Okay, div 3. Let's make the animation. So how do we do that? We say animation timing function. Okay, so we want this to be linear. Okay, so you can see it's moving smoothly. The animation moves smoothly. So what if we want the animation to occur more than once? So how do we do that? Okay, so go over here, say animation iteration count. Okay, so let's say we want this to occur 3 times. Okay, so go back to your browser, refresh, and you can see the animation occurring. So that's once, second time, and that's all. Okay, so it occurred 3 times. The animation occurred 3 times. So what if we want the animation to keep occurring? So infinity, right? So just go here and say infinite. So you can see the animation keeps on occurring. Okay, so go over here to the animation tool and let's have fun with this. So the border radius initially was 0. So say border radius should be 0 at this point, okay? And here it should be the width is, I think, 200 pixels. So here it should be 100 pixels. Okay, so that will be half. So over here again, it's going to be 100 pixels, and at 100 it's going to be 0. Oh no, let's make this 50 pixels. Okay, 50. So let's increase the animation duration. Okay, the animation duration is, let's make it for 5 seconds, and the animation iteration count should be let's make this infinity also, infinite, and the timing function should be linear, or let's make this ease in. Okay, so go back, when you refresh, you can see the border radius. So it forms a circle, then changes back to a square. Okay, so if you go back to the anim tool to make a smoother animation, and you call this 20%, make this 40%, and this should still be 100 pixels, and add 70%. So add the background color. Let's use something like red. This should be 50 pixels. This also will be 50 pixels. So you see you have a smoother animation. Okay, so it runs smooth. Okay, so if you want to make it smoother, go back up and you make this linear. So you can see the animation occurring very smooth. Okay, very smooth. Now there are different things you can do with this animation. Now you can make this div move from this point to this point. Okay, from this point to this point, you can make it move around your web page. So let's even try it. Let's try it. Okay, so go back here and let's give this a margin left of 0 pixels, and at 20% we want this to move, let's say 50 pixels. Give this a margin left again, and this should be 150 pixels. Margin left of 50 pixels at the 70% stage, and back at 100 it should have a margin left of 0 pixel. So save this and go back to your browser. You should have a nice animation. Okay, so you can see it moves forth and back. So that's a really nice animation. Okay, so that'll be all for this tutorial. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.